All right, at the end of episode 31 on the GS1000, I cut it short. You would have noticed I put the pistons on and then cut to be continued. And the reason is that I struggled to get the barrels on by myself. So it's always best to avoid damage and call in a mate. And when you call someone in for this kind of job, you want somebody that's got a bit of mechanical sympathy, some mechanical knowledge, is good looking, isn't shy in front of the camera, is reliable, and not a bad bloke.
So you couldn't get anybody?
None of them were available, so I've got Penny. Well, g'day everybody and welcome back. Yes, this is Jeff Penny, and Jeff, you're a YouTuber.
I am.
Yes, you are. So he has a business called Hobart Drone Images, and he's got a YouTube channel associated with that. And you're just starting a new one for adventure bikes, yeah?
Yeah, just started another one which I'll be putting up some film shortly called Tassie Adventure Riders. So it's all things adventure bikes, showcasing Tasmania basically. Excellent.
You've already got some. What's the other YouTube channel you've got?
It's Hobart Drone Images.
Hobart Drone
which is
Images.
all my aerial photography and drone.
And you got a bit. Oh, you got a Cape York adventure on there.
Yeah, I've got a film on there from Cape York. I might be bringing a couple of those over onto the other channel as well, as I did my trip to Cairns to Cape York a couple of years ago. So I've got that on there. And
so Tassie Adventure Rider.
Rider. That's it.
Look it up. Give him some love. It's only brand new. I don't think he's got any videos up on it yet, but stay tuned for that one. All right, so we're going to get stuck in and put the barrels on. That's the goal tonight. Obviously, there's more to this video that you're going to see throughout the rest of the weekend as I get the cylinder head ready. But tonight, we just want to get the barrels on. Okay, so while Jeff's getting the barrels for me, I have oiled up all the pistons and I've put these Jubilee clips on there just to work as a piston ring compressor. So I'll get Jeff we'll just pass this through. Keep them coming, Maria. Try not to scratch anything. Slide him across. Try to go back your way a bit, Jeffrey.
Yep.
Oh, it's those two centre ones. We're going to have to go up and over.
There we go. Up and over.
Yeah, try not to put the studs up in there and scratch the shit out of it. Okay, now I'll just come down. So we'll try and get piston 2 and 3 in first.
You're right, there you go.
Let him go, mate. I just want to try and get him down on the studs now.
Yep.
Sort of. There somewhere.
There we go.
Right. Just make sure that timing chain tension is going up in there, okay? I'll be able to hook this out later with a bit of wire. So we can sit down there like so.
Right.
Now, if we just line up piston. Now, the other thing I did to give us half a chance, because we bored a millimetre out of the barrels, I've got a Dremel and just cleaned up the groove underneath that works as like a transition, a guide into the barrel. Just widened them out. I had to do that with the XS11 after I mowed 3 millimetres out of the bore. There was no lead, chamfer lead left on the bottom of the barrel. So I did that on this one to give us a half a chance as well. So we'd need to, come down.
We're down to the hose clamp on that, Andy.
Keep coming.
That's it.
Yeah, tap, tap, tappity, tappy, tap, tap. Yeah, now mine's come adrift here, I think, Jeff. Hang on a sec. Yeah, I've got a ring popped out here.
Nothing worse than that, the ring popped out, Andy.
Yeah, I know, man. You want your ring hanging out? Yeah, yours is too. So you've got to try and...
Yep. Get that. Now we're up.
Yep. Coming down? The clamp should just...
It should slide down. I think it's got that last ring to cover.
Just should be able to start him in there. Yeah, he's right. Okay. Mine's the same. Just hang on a minute. Oh, mine's playing up.
There we go.
We're in. You're in?
I'm in.
Right, now, stop there. If you Have a look down there, you should have a screwdriver. Now I'll try and hold this. Oh, look at this, Jeff.
Okay, we'll go up again.
This is what happens.
Right out.
Actually, no, stop. I might have another solution for that. We'll remove it and then put it back in there from the top.
Yeah.
Or,
Feed it back in.
yeah, whatever happens, whatever makes it work. Is it gonna
go?
Is it gonna go? Is it gonna play the game?
There you go.
Not in yet, mate. No, it won't fit. I'll try and come up from underneath. What the hell?
You look at them.
It's never easy. Why you not go up in there? It won't feed up into it.
Yeah, that's just, we wouldn't have got it down, would we?
That obviously there, that section there.
It's wider.
Oh. Apparently. Yeah, see that would normally sit down. We're going to have to pull it back up.
Yep.
We can try all we like. Just let it sit.
Do you want me to hold it there? Up
It should be able to sit on the...
Carefully on there.
Yeah, just sit on there. We're going to have to put these back on again.
Yeah, that's right.
Trials and tribulations. Make sure that's right. Flame started.
Yep. That's good. Click.
Click.
That's the right tension.
Yep. What we want to try and avoid here too is moving these piston rings. I want them to be in the right orientation. I don't know how I missed that falling out. I thought I had it covered. Of course, you don't want to put that much weight on it that it...
Yeah, it won't move.
Yeah, no, the bottom ring's falling out, Jeff. Come on, son. Tight. Just want it so that it's just loose enough that it'll slide. See it's
down.
moving?
Yeah, so it'll slide down. Yep.
Yep. I'm just going to come over there, Jeff, and
Check that other side.
yep. Perfect. Right.
Take two.
Take two. Let's see if we can get it on this time. I'm in, I think. Almost. That's what she said.
Yeah.
I'm on. You in?
Not yet. Hang on.
I think you are, aren't you?
Oh, I'm just to the bottom of that ring, so just give it a bit of a... Ah, there we go. There we go.
All right, now stop there.
Yep.
Let's just double check everything here. Right, we've got
That's in place.
that in place. Now leave the chain hang there. Now we can pull these
Take those two out.
two out, yeah. So of course I've fitted the O-rings as well to the bottom of the barrels. So they're in there. We don't want to scratch the piston skirt, so once it's loose enough, like it is now, drop it down below to where the conrod is.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, don't drag it across the skirt.
No.
Either bring it up over the barrel or below on the conrod.
Just get out there. Done.
Mine must be longer than yours, Penny.
I'll put a longer one on your side, just for you.
I think you missed the pun there.
It's been a long day. Should be much longer now.
Showing 0 levels of dexterity.
You're on an hourly rate, are you?
Finally. Right. Now I'm going to rotate the crankshaft in the normal direction of rotation. And you'll have to lift the chain up because it'll want to jam.
Yeah. I'll grab it. You want to hold both sides? Or?
We'll push it up through the...
I'll come up there. Right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Righto,
There you
let's hook him up. Tie him up here, mate. Alright, so now,
Done.
hopefully we can still rotate it.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, it'll come down with the piston. So
Yeah,
what we want to try... You got yours square?
yeah. Go a bit more, mate.
Yep.
Yep, we've got to start.
We're going to have to come up higher. About there. I don't want to go any higher because... I'm in.
Yeah, I think we're right.
Yours has got a
Can't see
ring
that.
jumped, I think.
Mhm.
What I think I'll do is take that clamp out now. So I put a ton of oil in the bores, re-oiled the ring grooves and the rings, made sure there was oil on the inside of these Jubilee clips, so everything's all slippery. Right. You going to take your... Yeah, you're going to take yours off?
Yeah,
Or,
I can do. I think we're pretty right.
or do you want to keep trying to tap it down a bit further?
Well, at the top, hang on, let's just make the clamp down. I think, yeah, just come down a bit. Yeah, we haven't got that bottom ring in yet, so.
Hang on. Just trying to manipulate mine a little bit.
Yeah.
It's got too much. I'm in. I'm started.
That's his second ring. That's the trouble.
All right. Show me.
Yeah. I've lost a bit of the
Gives a look Joffrey.
There you go. You have a play there.
Oh, let me have a play. Oh, we're still on the second compression
Yeah, we've
ring.
lost that. Yeah.
Going to lift it up again, Jeff. Start again. I'll just because mine's right down, so
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna have to start on mine again.
Hold it down.
No, I have to do mine again too. So we'll have to put something in there to stop it falling. I don't want it.
Yeah.
That should do it. Start again. All the fun of the fair. All right, I think we're right.
I think that's not too bad.
Okay, now that O-ring's in its groove properly, yep.
Yep.
Lift the piston up.
Hang on,
Let's,
just there on it.
okay. Oh, I better get that bit of wood out.
Come down.
All right, you're right to come down?
Yeah, just slowly.
Are we
Starting
doing?
on there now. I'm just sitting on top now. Get yours.
Okay. You okay?
Yeah, steady, go down.
Yep. Just got to try and keep the piston even, mate.
Yeah. Ah, that's a better one.
You all right?
I'm right so far. You keep going.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, hang on. Down to the clamp now. Clamp's on the gasket.
All right, mine's not, so I need to come further. Okay, now I am. Are you okay?
Yep, just that ring's just.
As long as it's not a compression ring, it's only the oil
It's
rings.
the bottom one. Yep,
Is it the oil rings or the compression ring?
it's your bottom one. Is that your oil?
Yeah, oil ring.
Yeah.
Right at the bottom, the one with the cage in it.
Yep. It's just that one. I can just see.
Yep. They're a bit more forgiving and they'll go in here easier. Less chance of snapping one, because you will snap the...
Check that O-ring's in. Yep, the other one's right.
You got the clamp off yet?
No, we're right to do that.
Yeah. All right.
Right,
Let's
check hands.
see if we look at the top here. We can see that the studs are reasonably even.
Hang on, I'm just going to poke this to the bottom of it. There you go. Go now, mate. Just give him a tap.
Tappy tap tap. Tappity tap tap. Tappy tap tap.
That's gone.
Check that O-ring. Yes.
O-ring's in
Good.
place. Yeah.
Okay, keep coming down. The rings are in. This is caught here. This is the...
Oh, that's the problem, isn't it?
Yep.
On the tension.
Oh, what's going on with it? That tension
It's not playing the game, that tension.
does not want to play.
Seems too wide, doesn't it?
It obviously will fit when it's in its right position, but right now its right position ain't right. Oh, I've just been having a bit of issues jockeying cameras. Let's try and get the barrel up a bit higher. That's about even for the pistons, so if we can get the barrel up, Jeff. Without getting high enough that we start popping rings out.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. Sort of getting close there, I reckon.
What a POS. I think we can come a bit higher. Try and get it up to the top of these studs. Put your thumbs on these studs. On these
just leave it
these ones here.
Oh, you can just to the top of there?
Yep.
Yep, about there.
Oh, nearly.
There, it's level now. Is that fixed it?
I don't know. I don't understand. That should go in there.
That's the original one, same one as it?
It's the original
Yeah,
factory. Yeah. Nothing
That's
changed.
the free.
Let me just back that off again. Oh, hopefully I use the right size. Let's try and bring it down. I'll leave the bolt out until we can get it a bit lower.
Yep. There we go for level.
I think we're okay up here now.
Keep going.
No,
No.
because I've got to get the bolt back in there.
Yep. Not enough? Come up, or you're right?
Yeah, got to come up a bit. Come up.
Oop.
It's alright, we haven't gone too high.
Alright, good.
Let's poke that in there, like so. Yeah, so he wants to fit there. Okay, tap him down.
Yep.
Just about there somewhere.
Yep.
Oh, God, I do not want to lose this bolt. It'll be barrels off. Come on down, mate.
Come on down. No rings right, Andy?
Everything's good.
Yep, I'm good here.
And we're bottomed. Is that it? We're home. There you go. Pistons are in barrels. Let's cover it up. Thank you, Jeff.
Any day.
That was a bit of a battle. I've never seen a bloody problem with a
Tensioner.
the guide tension like
Yeah.
that. That was a pain in the ass. Let's have pizza.
Dougie's bringing it.
Dougie's bringing pizza.
Bringing it. Dougie the pizza man.
What about beer? I got beer.
We can do beer.
Okay. Right. So that was really cool of Penny to come over and give me a hand with the putting the barrels on. As you can see, the biggest fight was actually with the timing chain tensioner. For whatever reason, I was really struggling with that. I don't like filming in here at night. I have really poor lighting, and I suck at video editing for colour correction and lighting adjustments, etc. I have tried to get my head around it, but it's just one of those things that I just really struggle to do. So it is what it is. Now, on to the head. Head jobs with Penny. There's a title. All right, so the engine reconditioners have ground all the valves. We pop this one out. You can see that. And they've stoned the seats. They fitted brand new guides, so we don't have that horrible sloppy mess in there anymore. And they do a vacuum test where they apply a vacuum to the ports and make sure that the valves all seat. That being said, they have done that, and that being said, I will give them a light lap, just to be sure. But we do have a couple of issues. One of them could be a game changer, and if you notice, these valves are all numbered. With the exception of this one, it has a question mark. So why does it have a question mark? it's not very good. It was a little bit bent. I have, in the past, had to deal with things like bent valves where we needed to reuse them. And I have successfully chucked them in a lathe and given them a light tap with it and have a dial indicator and clock them back into true again, but prior to grinding them. Another method is to use something like a piece of timber or nylon clamped into the tool post of the lathe and winding it in while it's revolving and trying to force it straight. It's not a recommended thing to do, but sometimes needs must. Now in this case, the engine reconditioner didn't do that. They just ground it. So there is a little, while the mating surface of the valve is true, they had to take more off it than I would have liked, and it's quite thin in one or two spots. In all reality, I would never recommend to do what I'm doing here. I would recommend that we replace all of these exhaust valves with brand new ones. Couple of issues around that. One is the cost. Bill he's had it up to here with the spend. He doesn't want to spend any more money. I can understand that. These valves are $77 Australian each. There are 2 in Australia, and the rest we've got to come out of Japan, and they're on a back order. The Vesera, or whatever the alternative brands are, don't have any in stock. I tried to source second-hand ones, no luck. So we're going to try and deal with what we've got. But this valve here could cause a problem in that when the engine reconditioners were servicing this cylinder head, I requested that they grind the tips back down to essentially remove off the tip what they took off the face, so that we didn't have the valve too deeply buried into the cylinder head that could then create a problem with not being able to get thin enough shims when we go to do the valve clearances. Now, Suzuki state in the workshop service manual that you are not to grind this distance here from the collet groove to the end of the valve to less than 4 millimeters. 4.0 millimeters, that's it, that's your bottom. If you do, and you grind it further than that, you run the risk of the bucket actually making contact with the valve spring retainer and not the tip of the valve. So this could be a problem because this valve has gone down to 3.9 millimeters. And I think that the engine reco guys were just, well, you know, light a burning platform. If we wreck the valve, then you'll have to put a new one in. But I'm going to test it to see if we can get away with it. And if we can, we're going to use what we've got. This build is about dealing with an old bike and using what we've got. So I'm going to assemble that valve with the springs and the buckets on it, with the springs and the retainers on it, and then I'm going to put the bucket in and check for where it is making contact on the valve. Okie dokie, I've got my little exhaust number 1 bucket full of bits, and I obviously I took these things to work and cleaned them. So we'll flip the head over. Alright, so pop our valve up into our new guide there. We need to put down the seat for the valve spring. That's the retainer. That is the seat for the valve spring. So he needs to go down in there, like so. Valve spring. Retainer. Valve. Obviously we don't have any seals or anything on there at this point. This is purely a testing exercise because this could be a game changer. I'm just going to put a tiny spot of grease on that to help put it in place. very close to the top of the collets. Alright, just going to give it a couple of taps just to make sure it's well seated. This is a tube of bearing blue. I'm going to use it, just put a very thin smear of it inside our bucket. You don't want a thin smear in there, you don't want a big heap of it. And we'll pop that in there. Give it a little wiggly, tappy tap. It's transferring to the outer edge. It is touching the stem, it's not touching the valve retainer. It is just touching the collets as well. But there is a lip inside here. I don't know whether or not you can see that. But there is a lip. I don't know whether that's standard or it's just wear. I assume it's probably wear. So what I might do is just try and grind a little bit off the back edge of these collets, just to give it a little bit more relief there. And I think we'll get away with it. So what I ended up doing was I just used a sanding disc on my angle grinder and I ground the top of the collets. There's plenty of meat above where the retaining groove is in the collet, so you can take a little bit off them. So they're now well below the face of the valve. I've just put some bearing blue back into our bucket. I also chamfered the top of the valve because they were it was a very square edge, and just going off the wear that's inside this bucket, I would suggest that the factory valves had a larger chamfer on there. So I've just done that, and we'll see now how our bucket contacts. And we now have contact only on the valve tip. So that is a result. So I'll have to chamfer the top of all of the other valves before I assemble it, so that we are making contact with the meatiest part of the valve tip rather than the outside edge of that little profile wear inside of the bucket. It's quite possible that little profile in there is actually a factory installed profile. But yeah, we're no longer making contact just with the outside edge of it, of the valve stem. We're making contact with the main flat part. So that's a result. Alrighty, so I have my valves all laid out. I have ground the tips. Now listen, when you're doing things like that, just be conscious of where you're concentrating sparks. I saw a perfect example of that this weekend, where this pelican decided that it was perfectly okay to shower a petrol tank with hot sparks. And the back wheel and everything else, went to the trouble of covering up the chain.
There we are. Now I'm getting metal filings in my nice new chain.
If you're living under the illusion that you're a custom bike builder and you want to go and violate a perfectly good subframe like that, remove it. There's only about 4 bolts that hold the damn thing on the bike. Take it to the bench and deal with it over there. Just a note. Alright, so I've got my valves, I've got a little pot of water, and I've got my valve grinding paste, and I have a lapping stick. So that's the next part. So I'll start here at number 4, inlet. I'm just going to use this. This particular valve grinding paste has a coarse and a fine. I'm just going to use a bit of fine. Hopefully it's well and truly dried out. Try and reconstitute it. Use some water. Should be right, mate. They won't take much because, like I said, they've been seats are done, valve faces have been ground, and the thing has been vacuum checked. I've just got a bit of lapping paste on there, bit of water, help make things work. I just want to apply a bit of light pressure back and forward, spin the valve back and forward, spin the valve back and forward. And you can see a nice contrasting grey line where the valve is meeting the seat. Just wiping it out for now. I will clean this head. And on the subject of cleaning, honing oil is bloody difficult to get out of barrels. So I asked the engine builder to clean it ready for assembly for me, which they did. So they wash it. They've got this big dishwasher thing they put it in and scrub it clean, and then they spray it with some anti-rust agent and wrap the thing in Glad wrap and hand it over ready to go. And I just gave the balls a wipe out and applied oil when I put it all together. But yeah, that's the best way. If you can, get them to clean it. Well, I've just got 7 more to go. And don't forget to inspect the seats as well. And they look pretty good. Alright, valves are all lapped, and I've given the head a clean, and I've fitted all of the valve spring bases, because we now need to put our valve stem seals in. The pattern part gasket kit came with seals, but I bought genuine Suzuki ones. I'm lucky enough to have a tool set for valve guides and valve guide seals. If you don't have one, you can fit these without them. You can use a socket and an extension bar to tap them in, but you've just got to be very careful that the socket is big enough that it misses the, see if we can focus this, that it misses the rubber and spring so they don't get damaged, but not that big that it squashes down over the side. So you just got to make sure you get something that fits. So I've also got the valve guide seal pliers, so I'm lucky there, but you can put them in with your fingers if you're careful. Just want to line it up and start him in there. I've got the cylinder head sitting on a piece of cardboard. And then just give it a couple of gentle taps. Tappy tap tap. Make sure he's not crooked and he's down in there properly. And then just do that to all of them. Alright, all our seals are in. So now we can start assembling. Everything's cleaned. Squirt a bit of oil down the guide, the valve. pop him up through the seal. Inlet number 1. Just checking that the collets are below the tip of the valve, and they are just, but they only have to be just below. So we're good. Yep. So valves are in. We're all good in terms of clearances between the valve tips and the collets. Next step is obviously to bolt it onto the engine. However, I can't do that. I've just gone through a bucket of parts that I took to work to wash up, which was all of this, and I'm missing a couple of pieces. One of the nuts and a number of the flat washers. So I can't do that now, and we'll have to end this video here. I'm hoping that they're just sitting in the bottom of my parts washer. I'll check tomorrow when I get to work. Probably been long enough anyway. Just wanted to take a quick second to remind everybody that I am participating in the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride this year, and I'm trying to raise money that goes towards the raising of awareness for men's health issues, suicide prevention and prostate cancer primarily. So through the Movember Foundation. The link to that is in the description, and I'm still looking for donations for that. And if you don't want to donate to me, get on to someone that you do know or ride in your area and randomly choose somebody that you wish to donate to, or go and do it yourself. Get onto the DJR Distinguished Gentleman's Ride website, register and for your local ride, and participate and help raise funds for these very important causes. All right, so we'll leave it there for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and I will catch you next time on Andy's Motorcycle Obsessions. Bye for now.